Hi, I'm Kesenya, and in this video we're going to be looking at the impact of Uranus's transit through the 6th house. So currently in the sky, Uranus is sitting here at the final degrees of Aries, and I'm recording this in early 2019. So we're going to use the current positioning of Uranus as an example of the effect of Uranus through the 6th house. So on the 6th of March, Uranus is going to move into the sign of Taurus, just here. And this is going to make, Taurus in whole sign astrology is going to be the 6th house for anybody who is Sagittarius rising. So if you happen to have Sagittarius as your rising sign, you are about to embark on a 7-year period from early 2019, 6th of March to be exact, a 7-year period of Uranus transiting through the sign of Taurus, because this is your 1st house, this is your 2nd house, this is your 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th if you are Sagittarius rising. Now, if you know whole sign astrology and you're watching this video down the track, you'll be able to work out what your 6th house is by looking at your ascendant. Let's just say you have an ascendant in a different position. Say your ascendant is Virgo. Well, you can work out what your 6th house is by simply counting the signs. Your ascendant's in Virgo, so that's your 1st house, 2nd house, 3rd house, 4th house, 5th house, 6th house would be Aquarius. And then you can take a look, well, is Uranus there? Is Uranus transiting Aquarius? Therefore, am I getting a 6th house transit of Uranus? That's how you can assess it. Work out where your 6th house is in whole sign astrology, and then look where the planet Uranus is, and that'll tell you whether you're receiving a 6th house transit at the moment. And if you would like to know where to go to look to see where the planets are, I recommend the website planetwatcher.com. It's a really good resource for knowing exactly where the planets are at this present moment or into the future. But seeing as we're embarking on Uranus's transit of Taurus right at this point in time, what does this mean for anyone who is Sagittarius rising? Well, I'm sure anybody who is Scorpio rising would be able to tell us, because they are concluding at the moment a 7-year transit of Uranus to their 6th house. So if you're Scorpio rising, you're going to know all about what this transit brings. That might move a little, so I'll let it do its thing. But the 6th house is the house of health, routines, our daily income, what we do to earn a living and pay the bills, you know, going to work every day, and it's where we serve. So these are the areas for anyone with Sagittarius rising or anyone experiencing a Uranus transit to the 6th house. These are the areas that are going to be revolutionized, made more authentic. Uranus brings authenticity, liberation, rebelliousness, and freedom wherever he goes. His purpose is to make us more authentic to our intended life purpose this incarnation. And so here in the 6th house, 6th house, get it right, there's going to be an intensification or an invigoration, because Uranus brings invigoration, to our interest in alternative health, in healing, in medicine, in well-being. So we might find that we are very intrigued by alternative methods. This is not a time for using conventional medicine. If you are unwell, like me with my lung condition that I have at the moment, if you are unwell, you will not benefit if you're having a Uranus transit to the 6th house from conventional medicine. You would be much better to go and see a naturopath, an energy healer, some kind of a metaphysical practitioner, anyone who works in sort of very different methods of healing. Shamanic healers would be very, very worthwhile if you're got health issues and are having this transit. The sixth house is connected to the purification of ourself. It's connected to the sign of Virgo, which is a sign of purity and perfection. So this is also going to be emphasized throughout the next 7 years with Uranus's transit here. There's going to be quite a fascination that you'll have with well-being. You're going to go into depths to understand, to seek healing, to seek, good regimes, if you like. Although Uranus is not ordinarily connected with the idea of structure and regime, but you're going to, it is a planet of invigoration and revolution and breaking boundaries. So you're going to do all those things related to health. If you've got boundaries and blockages that are in your health life, then Uranus is going to invigorate and break those blockages and boundaries regarding health. So there can be excuse me, big breakthroughs with regard to well-being, with regard to health issues, and this can ultimately result, especially at the end of this 7-year period when Uranus leaves the sixth house, it can result in the liberation of your health. But like I said, you really need to, I would encourage you to steer away from traditional medicine. I mean, use it if you want. There's no harm in using it. But I feel with this transit that you will not get the satisfaction, the joy, or the results that you need from traditional medicine when Uranus is transiting the 7th house. It's a time where you can receive more benefit from alternative methods. So I don't mean discard traditional medicine altogether. If you want to go down that road, you can, but incorporate, Chinese medicine, acupuncture, alternative methods into your health practice or your health regime, or your health routines, and you will receive more benefit from that during this transit. In fact, alternative methods are going to be more likely to work than traditional methods during this time. Uranus is in a planet of independence, so you have a greater chance to heal through independent means. This is why this is the case. So following your intuition, your own internal guidance, your own internal thoughts about, I need to start eating more vitamin C, or I need to get rid of carbs and dairy, or whatever. If you follow your intuition, Uranus is connected to intuition, regarding those things, you will receive benefit. So trust your instincts regarding health at this time. Seek out energy healing, get Reiki, get sort of therapeutic massage, get acupuncture done. Like, all these things are beneficial. And perhaps seek to heal yourself. Do some study, do some research, buy some books. A great book would be a book called The Body is the Barometer of the Soul, an excellent book on the indications the body gives us of areas where we're not well. Louise Hay has also written some similar metaphysical books connected to our thought patterns and how they manifest as ailments in the body and how to change that. So using those methods for healing is a really great practice to get into. If you are having a Uranus transit to the 6th house, I highly recommend it. It will do wonders in your life. Weight loss can also be a result of this transit as well. If you're having a Uranus transit to the 6th house, you can expect that your body will lose some weight. It's also a really good period to start taking some magnesium supplements, because this happens when you've got Uranus transit to the 1st house or the 6th house. Uranus rules our body's nervous system, and when it is transiting a house that is connected to the body or our health, the 1st or the 6th house, then our nervous system can get spasms, twitches, muscle jumps, that sort of thing. And the way to counteract that is to take magnesium. It helps with nervous system, nervous energy. It can actually also assist in calming nervous anxiety that's triggered by Uranus. And if you've got Virgo is connected to the 6th house, and there can be issues of anxiety with strong Virgo energy in a personal chart. So magnesium is a helpful balancer for too much Uranian energy happening in houses that are connected to anxiety, which is the 6th house. So I would encourage you, if you are experiencing those sorts of things, to take some magnesium supplements, as your chemist advises. Now, the 6th house is our daily work, and it's our daily routines and habits as well. It's what we do to make a living. So with Uranus transiting here for the next 7 years, you are going to experience a craving of freedom in your workplace, a craving to not work traditional hours, to have more quirky, unusual, interesting jobs. You're going to be bored with that old accountancy position, and you might throw it in to go and become a small plane pilot or something, doing something really Uranian. Uranus rules air travel. You might do really something left of center. So you can change your daily routine and what you do to earn a daily living. You might try many and different varied jobs. Now that can happen by you over the next 7 years, quitting one job, doing another, quitting another job, doing another, and jumping from job to job and trying lots of different areas of daily work. Or it can happen in your actual company that you work for, where you might get the opportunity to, maybe you've always been a town planner, which is very rules and regulations and mundane and routine. Uranus moves into your 6th house, and suddenly you are given the opportunity to manage your department's website. Uranus rules the internet, and so it really shakes up and enlivens your daily work and daily routines, because you've got this different aspect of many and varied roles within the company that you work for, within what you're doing. So this is another way that Uranus transit the 6th house could play out, where you've got lots of invigoration in the workplace from different areas. So your role in an organization, it might change, it might diversify at some point over the next 7 years of this transit. Anything that is to do with healing or service. So service is things, anything where you fix things, you know, being a plumber, being a chiropractor, being a police officer or a lawyer can be seen. Somewhere where people fix situations that are imbalanced is very 6th house. So anything to do with these areas, healing or fixing situations that are imbalanced, you will need to have an innovative approach to these things. Be more creative, be more inspired, and Uranus is going to give you the creativity, the inspiration, the spontaneity to work in healing, to work in service, to work in fixing things in a really dynamic, invigorated way. So if you are a lawyer or if you are a police officer, this transit is going to give you more innovation, more creativity in your approach, more spontaneity and light bulb ideas in these realms over the course of the next 6 years. So you can have great new insights in how to help people, how to serve people, how to heal people if you are working in those realms already. Now the thing with this transit though, Uranus's transit excuse me, to the 6th house of health and well-being, she says while she clears her throat, is considered to be one of the most, if not the most, difficult transit of Uranus through the 6th house. Now, this is because the 6th house is all about routine, detail, and discipline, having structure. And this is the antithesis of what Uranus is all about. Uranus is unstructured, it's undisciplined, it's rebellious, it's unexpected, it abhors rules and regulations and routines. Get away, I don't like that. It wants to shake that up and change all that. So there is this real opposite energy going on here. And so Uranus doesn't really like the 6th house transit. Because of this, it's a 7-year period where you might experience a hatred for the mundane, a frustration with ordinary life. You know, you just doing chores just drives you to the brink of insanity. The mediocrity, excuse me, the mediocrity of your life might drive you bonkers. It's going to be felt within you as frustration, as irritation, as a sense of, I am just so over this. So be forewarned and forearmed that this might be an attitude that continually comes up for you over the next 7 years as this transit progresses. You might feel rebellious and defensive towards your employers or your bosses, because this is a house of being a subordinate or being an employee. So if you are one, there can be a rebelliousness that seeps into your work relationships here. But equally, you can experience a period of being a revolutionary, because Uranus is the ultimate revolutionary. And you might be the revolutionary one in your workplace environment if your workplace environment is oppressive or abusive or exploitative. And so your presence there can actually invigorate empowerment and authenticity both for yourself and the other employees. You might, you know, embrace the opportunity to be a leader in a sort of a movement that changes things for the future. So that can be positive, but it's going to come out of this feeling of irritation and frustration with the status quo. Now, because of, sorry about my coughing, because of this, you may change, because of this sense of irritation, frustration and boredom with your daily routine or your job, you may change your workplace many times throughout the coming 7-year period, which I've already mentioned, but this is the reason why that happens. You may even decide to go out on your own. Uranus is highly independent. It wants to do things its own way. It is a friendly sign. It's like the sign of Aquarius or the 11th house, which is about unity, connection with the group and the larger humanity. It's a friendly planet, but it is also about the individual, your uniqueness. It is the most individual planet. So you will not be able to you'll struggle to be a subordinate at this time. So you might feel inspired to go out on your own, to start your own enterprise, your own business, to be your own manager and manage your time in your own way, work your own hours according to your own principles and according to your own desires. So it's a transit that can instigate that happening in your life. You might even get inspired to pursue Uranian things as a work opportunity. So you might establish, a new career or a new job in realms of astrology, in realms of science, in realms of computing or computer programming. All these things are ruled by Uranus. Electronics, inventing, the occult, or connection to psychic realms. It's a hugely psychic planet. So you might be very much inspired to establish your own business or go out on your own dealing with these things. Energy healing as well is the one I forgot to mention. Uranus is very much about energy, especially electrical, sudden impulsive energy. So these are realms where you can start to move out on your own independently if you've already been practicing and researching and studying these things. It also is possible that if through your Uranus transit, the previous transit through the 5th house, you got into Uranian hobbies, such as studying astrology, studying the occult, studying computer programming might have been a hobby for you. Then when Uranus moves into the 6th house, that hobby might transform and become a source of work or income for you. Pardon me with my coughing. For those who are watching this in a few years' time, I've just been through an eclipse in my 6th house of health and well-being, and my health is suffering because of that. Quite pertinent that I'm now doing the 6th house influence of Uranus. So if you're in a position of authority, if you are running a business already, this transit to your sixth house might bring some difficulties with your employees. They might get rebellious towards you. So just be aware that that might be the case, and maybe it's a good time to revisit what is and is not working within your employee structure, and to revolutionize things. Uranus is revolution and change. If you are an employer, it's a really good time to address changes that need to be made with regard to your employees over the next 7 years. So there is a general feeling with this transit of impatience, of frustration with your life that is resulting from this polaric opposite energy, Uranus and the sixth house, which are such different energies. So there can be tension in everyday life, but being forewarned is forearmed. The sixth house is a house that's connected to purification, as I said in the beginning, and perfection. Just the nature of Virgo, which is the associated ruler of the sixth house. So the visionary and progressive nature of Uranus is at odds with the purified and the perfectionist nature of the sixth house. So this transit puts within us a longing for a visionary ideal of how pure and perfect life could be. And this is the reason why we struggle, because this pure vision of what reality can be like, this perfect visionary approach to life, it doesn't actually exist in human reality as we know it in this day and age. And so that is where this feeling of being at odds with reality comes in, and the frustration and the irritation of reality not living up to the visions that we have, the pure ideals that we have. That's where that comes in, and that's why we can have such a difficult time within us, not necessarily in outer circumstances, but within our own attitude during this transit. So as I said, being forewarned is forearmed. If you know that this is likely to be the case, you can sit with that feeling, you can journal about it, you can allow it to be, knowing that it is just part of this process of Uranus moving through your sixth house. It's a once in a lifetime transit. After this 7 years, you will never have this transit occur in your life again. And so it is going to bring empowerment and liberation and authenticity to these sixth house things by the end of the transit, but you will need to sit with and be at one with that feeling of frustration that will arise from time to time. So I do hope as you embark on this transit, for those of us at the moment who have Sagittarius rising, or in the future if Uranus transits your sixth house, this once in a lifetime transit, that you can be at one with this energy, that you can utilize the superpowers this energy will bring to your life, because you now have the knowledge of what areas are going to be affected, blessed, enhanced, or made more difficult by this transit. So thanks for joining me, and next week I hope to have a video that will share all about Uranus's exciting transit through the 7th house. So do join me for that one, and God bless.